So one of my subscribers, a patron actually, sent me a clip. I think he called it cringeworthy, on a New York Times opinion writer criticizing, quote unquote, Tulsi Gabbard. And let's put opinion in quotes. I guess you can take away the quotes. It is her opinion. The quotes would just indicate that it wasn't necessarily a particularly good one. She hates Tulsi Gabbard. That part's clear. She's on Joe Rogan. Her name is Barry Weiss. This is her right here with the glasses and all. Be careful on Joe Rogan. Just a heads up. If you ever find yourself on Joe Rogan, it's like Aramitage. Aramitage is more brutal and direct when he goes and decapitates somebody. But Joe Rogan asks questions, and he's almost with a childlike innocence. He trends to the left, but sometimes he can tack to the right. And he would probably consider himself somewhat apolitical, even though I don't think there's anybody who's really apolitical. Everybody has things that they want and they want to see to some degree in the world. By definition, that's somewhat political. But he can, in this childlike innocence, there's danger in that forest. Like, he's leading you into a forest where you're just kind of walking and wandering as if everything is okay, and then you find that there are snakes and there are vines and there are things with fangs and claws. But he has a way of leading people into this way. He did the same thing with Jordan Peterson, where the person believes that they're in a safe space and they talk themselves into something where there is a gap in their understanding of something, and it's exposed by Joe Rogan allowing the person to be who they are. He doesn't necessarily need to attack people. He just let them be who they are. And in virtue of being who they are, things are exposed. I love it. It's an awesome way of interviewing in this kind of non-confrontational style that has a way of pulling out interesting tidbits. In this case, Barry Weiss, New York Times opinion writer, she falls into one of these traps where Joe Rogan brings up a conversational politics, and just by virtue of the conversation itself and her political positioning, gets herself into trouble where, as an opinion writer, can't remember her opinion. She hates Tulsi Gabbard, she knows that much as an opinion, but when Joe Rogan asks her the basic question of why, what is your issue with Tulsi Gabbard, she can't remember. She doesn't do all that well in remembering. She tries to dredge up stuff, but the stuff that she dredges up, she doesn't know, meaning her knowledge of it is incomplete. And even in her knowledge of it being incomplete, the stuff that she brings up aren't defects at all. They aren't bad things. They're actually pretty good things, with the exception of one. She brings up the gay thing, but even that she's not sure about. And then something about Assad, called her Assad Toady, but again, couldn't remember at all why she was an Assad Toady or why she believes it. It's a pro-establishment writer who's trying to stick a knife in Tulsi and doesn't know what the hell she's talking about. It's an amazing thing to watch. It's a person failing miserably. I can't show you Joe Rogan himself and all that. I can't show the video because Joe Rogan, my video would be demonetized and copyright striked. Joe Rogan doesn't play on this. But I'm going to play you the audio, and I'm going to show you clips of Barry Weiss as we do so. Let's.
I know, and I'm worried that the left, that the Democrats are going to try and replicate that strategy and be like, we just need to make our base go apeshit crazy, rather than running someone that can win the center.
I see where you're going, but I think that this is maybe my liberal bias, but I think that people on the left wouldn't fall for that the same way people on the right would. I don't think people on the left who saw someone who went apeshit, full woke, far left, I think there's a lot of people in the center who'll be like, "What? I'm just gonna vote libertarian, man. I'm gonna vote for Gary Johnson or some shit."
But okay, so who's in right now? So we have Kamala, Kirsten
Tulsi
Gillibrand. Oh, monstrous.
Monstrous?
Ideas.
Well, when she was 22.
All right, she has, pretty strong feelings about Tulsi Gabbard, so much so she laughs. Ideas. She called it monstrous. All right, why is it monstrous? What about her ideas that are monstrous? Explain. And Joe Rogan is going to ask, so it's not just me. Explain the monstrousness of the ideas.
Oh, she had.
No, she's an Assad toady.
What does that mean?
She is
What's a toady?
I think that I used that word correctly. Jamie, can you check what toady means?
Like towing the line? Is that what it means?
No, I think it's like a.
Why don't you know? How can't you know that? Like, I don't understand why you don't know that. She's an Assad toady. What do you mean by toady? You didn't know what you meant when you called her that? Like, that's such an odd thing to not know. Like, this guy's a water boy. What do you mean by water boy? I mean, he carries water for so-and-so. I mean, by virtue of me using the word, I have to know what the word means. At the very least, I should be able to articulate a synonym for it or something else to get across what I mean by it. How can you not know what the word means if you're using the word in order to describe her? But let's keep going. They go into this for a while where they're trying to figure out what the word toady means.
Toadie.
What does that mean?
I think it means what I think it means.
Toady. Definition of toadies. A person who
sycophant,
flatters or defers to others
I kinda
for
used it right.
self-serving reasons.
A sycophant.
That someone who's gonna. This is maybe my liberal bias, but I think that people.
So who's in right now? So we have. She's an Assad toady.
What does that mean?
She is
What's a toady?
I think that I used that word correctly. Jamie, can you check what?
Okay, something screwy is going on with this video. I'm trying to get it. For whatever reason, it's not playing. Give me 1 second, guys. Let's try this one more time.
Toadie.
It keeps screwing up at that one part. Alright, let's see. Can we go past the part? Come on, come on, come on. Let's try this one more time.
It's someone who's a rat reasons.
A sycophant.
So she's an Assad sycophant. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's known about her.
That is known about her. That's such an odd thing, man. I can't imagine the bubble that someone lives in where their first thought is she's an Assad sycophant. Now, either she doesn't know what the word sycophant means, in the same way that she apparently didn't know what the word toady meant, even though she's using the term to describe Tulsi. Assad sycophant. That's known about her. All right. How is it known about her? Why is it known about her? What is taking place that is getting across that she's an Assad sycophant?
Like, what did she say that?
We have to look. I don't remember the details.
We probably should say that before we say that about her. We should probably read it rather.
Well, I have.
She said, I don't remember the details. All right, let's keep going. And Joe Rogan is like, well, look, if you're going to kind of put a knife in her like that, you should at least be able to tell the audience why you're putting a knife in her. I don't remember why. Well, that's kind of a big deal. If you're calling her an Assad sycophant, you need to kind of explain why you believe she's an Assad sycophant. But New York Times opinion columnist Weiss, I love this picture right here. That should be a screenshot. Not knowing why she hates Tulsi Gabbard, but knows she hates Tulsi Gabbard and knows that Tulsi Gabbard is a sycophant of Assad, even though she doesn't necessarily know why she knows that. Let's keep going.
have read it.
No, I mean,
I
we
just
should right now.
oh yeah, okay.
Just so we know what she said.
Look up
I've had her
Tulsi
on here
Gabbard.
before.
Look
and
up
I really enjoyed talking to her. I like her a lot.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I like talking to her.
Okay,
I like
okay.
talking to her. I don't know about.
I think she's like the mother lode of bad ideas.
Whoa.
I'm pretty positive about that, especially on Assad. But
She's the mother lode of bad ideas. I'm pretty positive about that, especially for Assad. But I can't tell you what any of those things are. This is an amazing thing. She's in the New York Times. She's a New York Times opinion columnist. Tulsi is the mother lode of bad ideas. But no, I can't tell you exactly what they are. But I do think she's an Assad sycophant. Why do you believe that? I read that somewhere. I know that. She's a toady. She's a sycophant of Assad. I know, but maybe you should be able to explain why you believe that before you get on here and take this position. Well, I mean, I read it. Yeah, I know that, but you should be able to explain why you believe that, not necessarily that you just strongly feel that. God, I love that. Joe Rogan. Good job, Joe. I like his... I just like his approach on some of the stuff. Let's keep going.
maybe I'm wrong.
You are.
I don't think I'm wrong.
No, you are.
Well, my take on her was that I think as a person who's coming from the left, who's also a veteran and is very articulate and sensible and a woman, and in talking to her, we didn't get into Assad or any of those things, but talking to her about what she feels is wrong with the current administration and the way things are running and a direction she thinks things could go in. She had some very promising ideas. I didn't know about this.
But doesn't she also, did she ever apologize for believing in conversion therapy?
I didn't even know she'd believe.
Yes, she did. The one thing that you pluck out of a hat is the one thing that she's come out and apologized for. As for the Assad thing, you are attacking her on this stuff, and amazingly, you're a New York Times opinion columnist that can't remember your opinion. I find that to be amazing. Tulsi Gabbard did go to meet with Assad, and Tulsi Gabbard came back and said, we are supporting terrorists in that region. Fact of the matter is that we were supporting terrorists in that region. We were dumping money into these groups that were trying to essentially destroy the Syrian government. And not wanting your United States government giving trillions or giving $1 trillion a year in order to essentially attack other nations and essentially act in an unconstitutional manner is not the same thing as being a puppet of Assad or an apologist or what do you call it, sycophant or toady. I can't believe this person is a New York Times opinion columnist. And maybe my appraisal of what the New York Times put in or put people in for opinion columnists was too high. But Jesus Christ, this is pathetic. Let's let her finish. And again, Joe Rogan, not being brutal at all, just making this rational point of, I've spoken to Tulsi Gabbard. I thought she was extremely sensible and lucid in her conversation, especially coming from the left. Like, this is just somebody having a basic conversation. She's like, mother load of bad ideas. Mother load of bad ideas. Okay, what are they? Well, I mean, I don't remember what those are. I don't remember what they are. I just know they're the mother load of bad ideas. Let's let them finish.
Believed in conversion therapy.
Am I crazy?
Is that real?
I'm almost positive this is real. I think her father ran
when you say conversion therapy, you're talking about gay people.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I didn't know that. I never heard that. I did hear something about when she was very young. She was like 22. She had said something about gay marriage and civil unions.
Here's the thing. Tulsi Gabbard has come out and apologized for this. And I have to be honest, everything that she's done in a legislative sense has been to back up and support LGBTQ rights. So this attack falls somewhat dead to me. I mean, it's one thing if you had something where you could say, look at what she's been doing in order to hurt these causes. But that's not indicative of reality at all. This is, of all the things that hit her on, I could see if you mentioned torture. Okay, fair enough. You got me on that. I can even see if you mentioned Modi, even though I don't necessarily think that's a full point. But gay conversion therapy, something that she's apologized for, and nothing in her political career has done anything to back this up. So somewhat weak. The fact that you couldn't remember it is even weaker. And bringing up a side when you couldn't even remember why you bringing up a side is a little sad. Fact of the matter is, United States foreign policy has been supporting terrorists in certain regions of the globe because it serves our geopolitical interests. And making the point of saying that's illegal, it's not the same thing as toting a side. It's, if you want to say anything, is looking out for America first. So I'm going to put this video at the bottom so you can see it. But John Hill, why do you keep listening to the propaganda? It's not that I listen to propaganda. I do a news show, in which case I'm always checking news, whether it's CNN, whether it's something that's taking place on Joe Rogan, whether it's The Hill, whether it's the New York Times, whether it's Washington Post, whether it's Consortium, whether it's whatever. I funnel for news. I mean, it is what it is. It's not something that you can kind of avoid listening to. She was unprepared on Joe Rogan yesterday, Patrick O'Donnell. Yes, she was unprepared on Joe Rogan. But the awesome thing about it is Joe Rogan, he didn't attack her at all. She attacked Tulsi just in her manner and demeanor. And yet she's like, I know I have this strong feeling against Tulsi Gabbard, but I don't quite remember what that feeling came from. And Joe Rogan just, yeah, but shouldn't you have, a reason to attack her before you just start attacking her? Just basic, calm, rational. Nothing to defend, nothing to attack. I'm just asking you questions. I love it. I love it. Unprepared is an understatement. Attack dog she is. Adam McDougal. Much more positive than negative. Let's see. It's so great Joe is a male. I don't know what that means. Tic-tac-lac. Edward Klein, she's not only a liar, but she's stupid also. She's perfect for the New York Times. Oh, that's brutal. I would say Tulsi is not anti-war enough. Under a bowed butter. Here's the thing, though. I want to hear that come from Tulsi. And I want Tulsi on that stage making that argument about our military needs to be less interventionist. I want that argument made. I want there to be multiple progressives on the stage talking about Medicare for all, talking about expansion of Social Security, education. But I want that. I want that in the debate. That anti-war element. You may say it's not anti-war enough, but I got to be honest. Look around at the competition, and if you're looking at a bar of militaristic people, or how militaristic the people will be if they were acting that office, you got to be honest. She is on the low end of that bar. She's on the low end of that bar. So, just saying. Just saying. And by the way, I want to hear Tulsi make these cases. Like, this is one of those primaries where I actually want to hear what the people have to say in the primaries. I got to be honest. If it's not Sanders, it's probably not going to be anybody. But I have an ear out for Tulsi. I have an open ear. So I want to hear from her. I want to hear it from her. But I got to be honest. This was a horrible interview. Man, I understand that Joe Rogan, his show comes across as low-key and calm and, everything else. That is a pit of snakes. And I'm saying in a good way. You will get enough rope, more than enough rope. Be careful on Joe Rogan. Be careful. Lesser of two arguments. More like the lesser of 10, because there's going to be 10 people on that debate stage. Look, the lesser of two arguments is not horrible if, depending on what you get out of it, if that makes sense. The problem with voting for Hillary Clinton was it got you nowhere. You essentially kept the same system that you continuously had. Meaning, when they made the lesser of two arguments in that case, well, the lesser of two arguments still didn't necessarily give you any real bang for your buck that would incentivize people to go out for do X or Y. This is different. This is somewhat of a change. And you can make this argument of how far do I get along for the lesser. Well, if the lesser of two gets me further along on that scale than I can normally go, I'm inclined to hear it. But again, all of this is conjecture. I want to hear what she has to say. You might be right. She might turn out to be, the policy in some of these other countries in Syria and everything else, maybe there's a logic that underrides it, that you're right, where it's not militaristic, not anti-war enough. We'll have the conversation afterwards. But I at least want to hear her say it. I want to hear this come out of the debate stage. I want to hear her make her campaign stump speech and all this other stuff. She just got into the race. You can say that about Obama too. No, Obama was a war hawk. Oh, I see what you mean. But the assumption here, Tikalak, is that it's comparative. That Obama's foreign policy, who got the Nobel Peace Prize and made a speech about being a pro-war, like a reason for war, a justification for war, on the day that he got the Nobel Peace Prize speech, that's a little bit different. I mean, for the most part, Obama had a hawkish foreign policy. His rationale was similar to Bush, with the exception of, interventionist wars, even though he was doing interventionist wars. I guess my point is the Obama doctrine versus the Bush doctrine. Is there that vast disparity between the two, with the exception of maybe committing the United States forces into multiple countries using small forces? But is that what Tulsi wants? If that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Like, you'd have to say that Tulsi's military foreign policy and Obama's are somehow comparative. And I don't know if that's necessarily true, and I definitely won't know if it's true until I hear it from her. Just saying. Just saying. Nicholas Locke. Good night, JT. Good night, Nicholas Locke. I hope you had a good day. Let's see. Patrick McDougall. Long-form podcasts make it really difficult for people that are used to soundbite mainstream media that lacks nuance. It's the reason why a lot of TV personalities fail at radio. It's funny. When Jordan introduced me, he was like, the most nuanced show on the planet. And I like it. That's about true. I watched it live. She's a total cunt about it. The most. Yeah, I didn't like her demeanor at all in that. Like, even if you disagree with Tulsi, if you say, look, I think all of the stuff that she says is wrong. Tulsi is not. I don't know. It's this. Oh God, no! She would never. It's like, what? Like, you're acting like just bringing her up in the conversation is somehow an insane, just beyond, thing to do. It's nonsense. It's nonsense. All right, I'm going to end this. If you guys enjoy the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe. You can always support the Patreon. MacArthur, Louisiana. Jamarl, support the government shutdown. Why would I support the government shutdown? I mean, I support them not giving them money for that wall. I do that. But I don't support the shutdown. There are a lot of people being hurt in this shutdown. What I would wish is that those people who are being hurt in the shutdown stop working. That's what I wish. Ultimately, this shutdown could possibly go on for months while people continue to prop the system up as it goes on, as opposed to one dramatic show of, we're done. Bring it to a halt. When airplanes stop flying, they'll be more inclined to have that conversation when people start being impacted by the shutdown. Right now, it allows the country to kind of limp on with the people who are taking the brunt of that shutdown, the people who aren't getting paid, who are eating at food banks and all this other stuff. It allowed the force of the shutdown to remain with them as individuals, as opposed to them collectivizing as a blunt unit and stop working. Bring the machinery to a halt. Let's see, what is this? Alexandria Ocasio wound up on Donkey Kong 64. So I heard about her coming on to a stream, but I didn't know what it was about. Oh, I see. A Twitch stream for fundraiser. Donkey Kong, that's funny. Yeah, I didn't know. Yeah, I just heard about it. By the way, from the standpoint of reason, workers in this case have all the reason in the world to shut it down, to bring it to a halt. Are you seriously not going to pay nearly 1 million people who are essentially keeping this country running? I mean, come on. It's these indignities keep piling up. In one case, you have a tax cut that goes to the top 1%. You have wealth inequality spiking. I just read the article the other day saying that there was like a billionaire created every day while wealth, income inequality, or the people at the bottom end of the totem pole lose more wealth as it goes on. I mean, I don't know what it would take for the American worker to don their yellow vest and start flipping out. But a government shutdown over something that is a political campaign promise, if you're ever looking for a reason, this will be it. This will be it. 340,000. Fuck you to Graham Lannon. That's hilarious. I still vote green thongs. Good for you. Good for you. All right, I'm gonna end this. Oh wait, what was this? Tulsi supported the Ukrainian coup and opposed 90% of the Crimean vote to remain in Russia. Oh God. Yeah, that's where this stuff is going to start coming up. I'm, like I said, I have an open ear to Tulsi, but you know, my endorsement is Sanders, but I don't have an ear close to her. I said that way. I want to hear. I want to hear it from her. So I'll end this here. I'll see you guys in a few. I have more stories for today. Thanks all. If you enjoy the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe. You can always support through PayPal or Patreon. Thanks all.